There are some days in history that begin like any other. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic, just another date on the calendar. But as the hours pass, something begins to shift. Small decisions are made. Moments unfold quietly, and before anyone realizes it, history has already started to change. April 13th is one of those days. Because on this single date, across different years, three powerful stories unfolded. A disaster slowly moved closer, unnoticed. A peaceful gathering turned into tragedy. And far beyond Earth, a mission faced a crisis that nearly ended in catastrophe. At first, these moments seemed completely unrelated. Different places, different times, different people. But if you stay with me, you will begin to see the deeper connection. The year was 1912. The world was entering a new era. Factories were expanding, technology was advancing, and people were becoming more confident in human innovation. There was a growing belief that science and engineering could overcome any obstacle. At the center of that belief stood one remarkable creation, RMS Titanic. It was not just a ship, it was a statement, a symbol of human progress. At the time, it was the largest and most luxurious passenger ship ever built. Its design included advanced safety features, watertight compartments, modern communication systems. Everything about it suggested strength and reliability. Many people believed it could not sink. That belief spread quickly. Passengers boarded the ship with confidence. For many, it was more than just a journey. It was an experience, a glimpse into the future. More than 2,200 people were on board, passengers from different backgrounds, some wealthy and powerful, others seeking a better life in a new country. For days, the voyage went smoothly. The atmosphere was calm. Music filled the halls. Laughter echoed through the decks. Everything seemed perfect. But on April 13th, something important was already happening. Warnings had been received. Messages from other ships reporting icebergs ahead. Not once, but multiple times. Each warning carried the same message. Danger lay ahead in the North Atlantic. And yet, the Titanic continued at high speed. There was no major change in course, no significant reduction in speed. Because when people believe something cannot fail, they often ignore the signs that it might. The ocean that night was unusually calm. There were no waves, no wind, just still water stretching into the distance. At first, this seemed like a good thing, but it made it harder to spot icebergs. Normally, waves break against ice, making them visible. But on that night, the surface was smooth. The danger was hidden. Everything looked peaceful, safe, normal. And sometimes, those are the moments just before everything changes. Because within hours, the Titanic would strike an iceberg. But the real story did not begin with the collision. It began on April 13th, with the warnings that were received, and the decisions that were made. Now, let's move forward a few years. April 13th, 1919. This time, the story takes place on land. In the city of Amritsar, in Punjab, a large number of people had gathered in a public space known as Jallianwala Bagh. Some came to protest peacefully. Others were there to celebrate a festival. Families filled the area. Children played. People talked and moved freely. It felt like an ordinary day. There was no sense of danger, no expectation of violence. But within moments, everything changed. British troops entered the area. They were led by Reginald Dyer. Without warning, the exits were blocked. The crowd was trapped. There was no clear escape, no time to react. And then, the order was given. Fire. Gunshots echoed through the enclosed space. Panic spread instantly. People ran in every direction. But there was nowhere to go. Some tried to climb walls. Others fell to the ground. Some jumped into wells in desperate attempts to escape. The chaos lasted for minutes. But the impact lasted for generations. Hundreds of people lost their lives. Many more were injured. The silence that followed was overwhelming. When news of the event spread, it shocked people across the world. It became known as the Jallianwala Bagh Massacre. For many, it marked a turning point, a moment that changed how people viewed authority and power. It revealed how dangerous unchecked power can be, and how quickly peace can turn into tragedy. Now, let's move forward again. April 13th, 1970. This time, the story takes place far beyond Earth. A mission launched by NASA was traveling through space. Its destination was the moon. The mission was called Apollo13. At first, everything was normal. The astronauts followed their routine. Systems were functioning. Communication with Earth was steady. It seemed like another successful mission in progress. Then, a simple instruction was given. Stir the oxygen tanks. It was a routine task, something that had been done before. But this time, something went wrong. Seconds later, there was an explosion. The spacecraft shook. Warning signals appeared. Oxygen levels began to drop. Power systems started to fail. In an instant, the mission changed. 3 astronauts were now in a life-threatening situation, stranded in space, far from Earth. With limited resources, there was no immediate rescue, no quick solution, only a problem that needed to be solved. That is when the message was sent. Houston, we have a problem. From that moment, everything depended on human ingenuity. Engineers on Earth worked continuously. They analyzed the situation. They tested solutions. They searched for ways to keep the astronauts alive. Inside the spacecraft, the astronauts remained calm. They reduced power usage. They conserved oxygen. They followed every instruction carefully. Every decision mattered. Every action carried risk. Time was limited. But slowly, step by step, a solution emerged. Using creativity and teamwork, they adapted. They found ways to survive with what they had. And against all odds, they made it back to Earth. The mission did not achieve its original goal, but it achieved something equally important. It proved that even in the most difficult situations, humans can adapt and overcome. Now, take a moment to reflect on these 3 stories. A ship moving toward disaster. A peaceful gathering turning into tragedy. A spacecraft fighting for survival. Different events. Different circumstances. Yet all connected to April 13th. History is not just about what happened. It is about why it happened. It is about decisions, choices, actions, and consequences. April 13th teaches us important lessons. That confidence must be balanced with caution. That power must be guided by responsibility. And that even in moments of crisis, solutions can still be found. Every day on the calendar holds stories like these. Stories that shape the world. Stories that influence generations. Stories that remind us of both our strengths and our weaknesses. April 13th is just one example. If you want to discover what happened in history every single day, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Because every day has a story, and the next one might change how you see the world.